The property and casualty insurance industry is modernizing at an absolute breakneck pace right now. I mean, massive, outdated legacy systems are literally being ripped out and replaced by modern digital platforms, and Guidewire is completely leading the charge here. But if you're looking to build a career in this booming space, you've got to ask yourself a really critical question. Does theoretical Guidewire knowledge actually get you hired? The short answer? No. No way. It's simply not enough to just understand the concepts on paper.
You see, when hiring managers look at candidates who only have textbook training, they basically see one thing: high risk. Green candidates are a huge gamble. Insurance is a really high-stakes, heavily regulated domain, right? So a single bug in the system doesn't just mean a minor ticket. It could mean a massive compliance nightmare. Employers, they just don't have the time or the budget to handhold someone on a live engagement. What they are desperately looking for is practical credibility. They just want to know that you can actually deliver.
So, welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to bridge that massive gap between merely learning Guidewire and actually getting hired to build it. We're going to explore exactly how real-time projects act as the ultimate accelerator for your career, taking that passive knowledge you have and turning it into applied, highly sought-after skills.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's how we're going to break it down today. First, why real-time projects matter. Second, core insurance suite examples. Third, advanced integrations in the cloud. Fourth, careers, salaries, and companies. And finally, number 5, your very own Guidewire learning roadmap.
Section 1. Why real-time projects matter. Moving beyond the textbook.
So, theoretical knowledge gets you familiar with the terms, sure, but you really have to stop memorizing and start solving actual problems. The contrast here is absolutely vital. Training projects? Well, they're academic. They use simplified, generic data and mostly just mocked integrations. Real-time projects, on the other hand, are messy. They're complex. They throw you into multi-module scenarios, insurer-specific edge cases, production-scale data, and live external systems, deployed through real CI/CD pipelines. That real-time complexity is exactly what makes you delivery confident and ultimately directly hireable.
When we say real-time project, what we mean are production-grade tasks that replicate complete business scenarios. We're talking about taking a claim from the first notice of loss all the way to settlement, or managing complex installment billing with all its necessary edge cases and strict validations. These projects prove to an employer that you can handle mission-critical workflows in a really high-stakes, heavily regulated domain, where honestly, a missed validation can literally mean a multi-million-dollar underpriced policy. You prove you think like an implementation consultant, not just a coder.
Section 2. Core Insurance Suite Examples. The Big 3.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these 3 modules form the absolute backbone of any P&C insurer's daily operations. You've got PolicyCenter handling policy administration, ClaimCenter managing the claims when things inevitably go wrong, and BillingCenter ensuring the money flows properly. Let's look at what real-time projects actually look like in each of these. In PolicyCenter, a highly hireable candidate has to know how to handle the entire life cycle. Real projects here mean building the flow for a new personal auto policy all the way from submission to issuance. It means configuring automated renewal jobs that recalculate premiums. You also really need to know how to process endorsements, which are basically midterm changes like adding a new driver, as well as handling complex cancellation workflows and writing underwriting rules in GoSu. Then we have ClaimCenter and BillingCenter. Because handling money accurately is so incredibly critical, projects here are highly scrutinized. For ClaimCenter, you'd build first notice of loss workflows, automated claims assignment, and even live integrations with external fraud detection services. And over in BillingCenter, you're demonstrating that you can manage premium billing, complex monthly installment schedules, agency commissions, and even collections workflows for delinquent accounts. It's the whole shebang.
Section 3. Advanced integrations and cloud, the connective tissue.
Guidewire literally never runs in isolation. It needs connective tissue to communicate with external systems. And to build that tissue, you need a specific tech stack. First and foremost, obviously, is GoSu, Guidewire's core JVM language. You pair that with Java and SQL. But then, you also must know how to use REST APIs and SOAP web services. Crucially, Apache Kafka is increasingly becoming the absolute backbone for high-volume, event-driven streaming of policy and claim events. Add in Docker, Kubernetes, and CI/CD pipelines, and you've got yourself a modern integration toolkit. Now, two incredibly critical parts of that advanced toolkit are data migration and batch processing. When insurers move from, say, 50-year-old mainframes that frankly belong in a museum to a modern system like Guidewire, data migration requires intensely complex ETL processes. That's extract, transform, and load. Furthermore, you have to build batch processing schedules to distribute massive workloads, like those nightly policy renewals, so they run smoothly off hours without bringing the whole system crashing down.
And the destination for all of this technology is crystal clear. There is a massive industry shift happening right now toward the Guidewire Cloud Platform, or GWCP. Cloud migration projects that utilize modern DevOps, containerization, and microservices are for sure the most in-demand projects in the ecosystem right now. If you can combine core Guidewire configuration skills with these cloud capabilities, you are perfectly positioned to lead this shift.
Section 4, Careers, Salaries, and Companies, the Reward.
So, the crucial point is, we've covered the tech, but let's anchor this to the actual financial reward in the Indian market, which really operates as a massive global hub for Guidewire delivery. As you gain real-time project experience, your value escalates rapidly. To put that into perspective, a fresher starts between 4 to 7 lakhs per year. But in just a few years, as an associate or senior developer, you jump significantly. And if you master those advanced cloud and architecture skills we just discussed, you reach that highly lucrative architect bracket. So yeah, experience literally pays.
And who exactly is paying these salaries? Well, the largest recruiters are global consulting and IT services firms running massive transformation programs. We're talking companies like Accenture, Cognizant, Capgemini, and Deloitte. These firms need billable candidates from day one. There is very little time to train from scratch on a live account. Actually, scratch that, there's basically no time. If you walk into an interview and can confidently speak to an actual Kafka integration you built or a complex endorsement workflow you designed, you are immediately undeniably valuable to them.
Section 5, Your Guidewire Learning Roadmap, Actionable Next Steps.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Skills in Guidewire compound over a typical 1 to 2 year journey of focus practice. You start at Phase 1, learning basic insurance fundamentals in GoSu. Phase 2 moves into configuring the core suite and writing rules. Then, in Phase 3, you hit advanced integrations like Kafka and data migration. Finally, in Phase 4, you become an expert, handling cloud migration, Kubernetes, and solution architecture. If you want to replicate that timeline yourself, you need to take these precise steps. First, do not skip learning the core property and casualty fundamentals. Just don't. Second, master the big 3 core modules we talked about. Third, dive deep into GoSu programming and those external integrations. And finally, and honestly, most importantly, build end-to-end capstone scenarios. Ideally, you do this with mentor guidance. Mimicking a full insurer implementation is the absolute key to passing those technical interviews with flying colors.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to stop memorizing and actually start building? Because as we've seen throughout this explainer, theoretical familiarity just won't survive a real technical interview. Real-world portfolio building, tackling messy data, complex workflows, and live integrations is the only true way to launch a high-growth career in P&C insurance tech. The opportunity is massive, but it really begins with the projects you decide to build today. So what are you going to build?